Hello again, and welcome to Faith, Family, and Politics. I'm your host, Joshua Cummins. And we know that you're already subscribed to Revolver Broadcasting, because why else would you be here, right? Wait, there's like 93% of you that watches our stuff, and you still ain't hit that subscribe button. So just do me a little favor. Be a good friend. Be a good pal. A good buddy. And just click the subscribe button. That's all you need to do. Anyway, while you're doing that, also make sure and hit the like button, because you know you already like this content. You're having fun. You're having a blast. And share this content, because sharing is caring. Magic got ahead of me a little bit.
Look, it happens.
Yeah.
Wow.
It must have been. Did you initiate it then? Maybe that's. I think yeah. I think Rich initiated the magic. Sterling's trying. It's just not working for him. No magic for Sterling today, apparently.
Yep.
No magic for you.
I am not magic man today.
And while you're out there on internet land, be sure and go over to revolverbroadcasting.com so you can pick up some new threads, because let's face it, you need some new threads. Like this Trumpomania shirt. Oh yeah, brother. What you gonna do when all the little Trumpomaniacs and all of Trumpomania runs wild on you, brother? Oh yeah.
It's bright yellow.
Yeah. Well, it comes in lots of different colors. I chose yellow.
Orangey.
I mean, Christmas is coming.
Yeah.
Christmas is coming, folks.
It's orangey because our favorite man is on there.
He is orange.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't know if that's something we want to be proud of.
It's his. It's
That's
his.
jaundice.
It's just spray tan.
You can buy it in a can.
Yeah, they just this rattle can before he goes on stage.
Done.
Make sure your eyes are covered. Don't worry, I did.
They're orange anyway, so that'll be good.
Wow.
Now that
What
the Bills.
else is new on Revolver Broadcasting?
Let's
Huh?
reel this back in.
Isn't there something else new
He
on
is
the
a
site?
big fish. He is a huge fish. They don't tell you that.
Yeah, Sarah, you bring up a good point, and thank you for noticing. We have a new section on the website called on revolverbroadcasting.com called the News Chambers. Now, currently, there are only a handful of stories, but you're going to notice that they're going to multiply. They're going to be coming out more and more. So just make sure you keep checking in, because we're going to keep putting out those news stories, things that matter to you. And don't worry, we're real news over here. We're not going to give you anything that we haven't verified ourselves.
No fake news here.
That's right. We're not fake news, because they never turn the cameras around.
Crowd.
Yeah.
Huge.
So the thousands in attendance, right?
People over there.
Our crowd's right
crickets.
here.
Oh, that's right. The
All
crowd.
of the crickets over there. So many crickets. They won't turn the camera around because it's a cricket army.
So as you see, you have some other folks here, unless you're listening on audio, and you've heard other folks here. To my left, we have Rich Rosati. He is the guy.
I am the guy, and I know a guy. And they pulled me from the crowd. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, sir.
You're welcome.
Sitting in for your lady.
Crystal is she's on a fact-finding mission.
Fact-finding mission.
Yep. Can't tell you where, folks.
Adventures.
Yep. Fact-finding.
That's pretty cool.
Can't turn Crystal around.
No, she's going to charge straight forward.
She's going to wait till the end of the weekend to turn around. And then across from Rich, you know him, you love him. We call him the perfect producer.
Not true.
Sterling Metcalf Allen. Thank you for joining us, sir.
No problem. Thanks for being here. Yep. Thanks for being here, Josh. I'm glad you're here.
Well,
I think that's
I
how
should
it
be.
works.
It's been a long day for
A
us.
very long.
Woo! As y'all know, because they're posting videos.
Yeah, we're working hard for you. And last but not least, one of our favorite message bringers, and she's also happens to be married to the perfect producer, Sarah Metcalf Allen. It was like dead.
I think I heard the crickets.
Chirping
I was
away.
excited about it.
That's the button next to the pink one over there, Ryan, if you want to hit them crickets. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
That's
say.
fine. 13 years. And look what I get.
Oh,
You
those
got the
crickets went on
perfect
for
producer.
Real true.
crickets went on for a while.
They're good crickets. They won't tell you.
So Sarah put together a message for us in very short amount of time, and we're very appreciative of her because we love our home team. We won't go into too many details on how that actually happened.
It's a new record.
You don't need to know the behind the scenes.
It's a new record.
But she could definitely go into the Sermon Olympics.
Hey, that could be in 2028.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely gonna do better than Reagan breakdancing. If you haven't seen it yet, go over to Sterling's reaction to the Olympics TikToks.
She can do the folding chair really well.
The folding chair. Or the, what was it, dry worm?
It's a dry worm.
Yeah.
Great.
So what is the title of that message, Miss Sarah?
The writing on the wall.
Hey.
What?
It's got our faces.
Wait,
Oh my.
huh?
Yeah.
Wait.
That expression is about how I felt when
When you found out you're bringing the message?
I'm going in blind, but I'm happy about it.
That's me telling you about it. Alan's
reader.
trying to, and Alan's not even on there. He should be. Somewhere in the back, probably on the wall.
It's been on there a long time. Come down. Thank you.
Take it down. Take it down, please.
Sarah will have a giggle fit so far she'll just pass out.
Yep. It has happened before.
I'm not passed out.
Yeah,
This
you,
might
you
be the
can
long-
Big
remember.
clothes.
This might be the longest show tonight. We'll see.
Can't even get started.
What are you talking about? It's going to go quick.
Okay.
She's conscious for now. All right.
Good.
So just before we get into that message, would you mind leading us in a word of prayer?
Sure can. Lord, thank you so much for letting us be here together. And while not every aspect of it was planned, I just pray that you will lead the conversation and be in the conversation, and that we can still learn from each other and learn from you, and just bless Revolver Broadcasting and everyone watching and or listening. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 All right, so the writing is on the wall. You might have heard that kind of expression.
Rich
And
knows all about the writing on the wall. He made our sign back there.
This is true.
Yeah, that's
this is
He
true.
made two of them. Yeah.
So there are a lot of phrases, common phrases, or words, expressions that are used in society or have been used in society that some people might not realize actually come from the Bible. So one that recently came to mind, and it's not used like anymore, but if you go back a few decades, calling someone a Nimrod means that they're pretty dumb. They did something stupid. Well, Nimrod was an actual person in the Bible who did something dumb. That's where that came from. A phrase like the forbidden fruit. That is Adam and Eve, the forbidden fruit. By the sweat of your brow. As old as Methuselah.
Listen,
She was old.
Methuselah, again, is an actual person. He was the oldest person in the Bible. A Philistine, that's a Philistine. Or another name, that's a Jezebel. Two not good names. Those are biblical. Those were people. There's a reason why they are used in that way, why they have that meaning.
And we got to leave Kamala Harris out of this.
I don't know which one of those she fits under.
Okay, we're gonna
I'm
keep
thinking
going
the
on.
latter.
So even not as mean or derogatory or whatever, for everything there's a season. Eat, drink, be merry. That's
Be
from the
fruitful
Bible.
and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply. That, see eye to eye. Feet of clay. That one starts getting into closer. It's actually the same book as what I'm going to read from. Feet of clay. And then writing is on the wall. Those two both come from the book of Daniel, which I just recently have been reading in my own personal reading time. So that was, keep reading. Last time I was on here, I was talking about
Just
keep reading.
keep reading. Just keep
right?
reading.
And I'm glad that I have been reading because that helped me be able to do this tonight. But for real, the writing on the wall, it's just interesting how so many things that we say or think about, it's so much inspired by the Bible. And some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it's just a thing. This one So what do you guys think of when you hear the writing is on the wall?
It's, to me, that's what's there, and that's what it's going to be, and this is what we're going to do. It's right there for us to do and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say to me it means I've already seen what's coming. That's what when I hear writings on the wall, things are happening, and I'm aware of what's happening and what's going to come of it.
Okay. What about you, Sterling? What's it make you think of?
I don't know. Something obvious. Like the writings on the wall. That's just something that's obvious. Something that can't be changed.
Like
Okay.
like rhetorical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at what the story actually is and what the writing on the wall is.
Yeah.
So we're going to Daniel. This is one of Sterling's favorite books of the Bible.
It's a good book.
It is a good book. It's got a lot of your Sunday school stories in it. You know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel in the lion's den. You might have even heard about the writing on the wall in Sunday school. It's not quite as common, though.
I know all the teachers were writing on the walls. In Sunday school.
So chalkboards and stuff. But anyways, so... Yes, I know. I said anyways. We're moving on.
No.
This story is from Daniel chapter 5. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, while he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, his concubines might drink from them. So, little history. Nebuchadnezzar says it is his dad. He is the one who captured Judah and Jerusalem. And when he did that, he took all of the gold and silver, all the precious, valuable things out of the temple of God and brought them back to, Babylon. Well, Belshazzar's having this big party. He's like, hey, let's drink out of those really fancy things that we got out of the temple.
Oops.
So that's what they did. They brought out the golden vessels, and they drank from them. They drank wine, and they praised the gods of gold and silver, brass, iron, wood, and stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the wall in the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Can you just imagine? They're having a party. They're probably drunk as all get out. And who knows? I don't know if they had any kind of hallucinogenic things. They probably did. He probably thought he was just having a fever dream. Like, what's this hand? Oh my gosh, it's writing on the wall. But then, it kind of wakes up. It's still there. That what?
The writing.
The writing was still there.
Yeah.
It says that the king's countenance was changed. His thoughts troubled him. And this one's fun. So that the joints of his loins were loosed. And his knees smoked.
He's over there acting out.
I got this.
I can
Reading.
see another.
For those who are listening on audio, you gotta go over to video.
To get and watch.
I did it for you.
When I read that the other night, I was like, yeah, he peed his pants seeing the hand on the wall.
Let it flow. Let it flow.
And so he cried aloud, bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, the soothsayers, all these wise people or whatever.
Mystics.
What is that? Obviously, this is not of this world. So it's interesting. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But
No one's ever written on a wall before?
It probably was pretty new for them.
Let's call it a whiteboard.
Oh man! In all honesty, though, he knew that this was not normal. He was calling for the astrologers, for the soothsayers. These are people who practice magic or fortune telling and that kind of thing. He said, "I need you to help me figure out what this is."
My Pete is
help me help you.
How did my pants get wet? I need you to help me.
It's a mystery.
Oh boy.
And he's like, I will reward you. You know, I'm going to dress you in scarlet and put, gold chains around your neck. Like, you'll be high in the kingdom or whatever. This big reward for you. Just tell me what it means. None of them could do it, though. None of them could do it. And he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And
I don't know. Tell me.
so he was greatly troubled. More. His countenance was changed in him. He got all depressed and scared. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not your thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. So first off, queen, woman power. She's thinking, not just feeling.
Throw that out there real quick.
She's thinking, not just feeling. And
What are you trying to say? I feel like there's a little like there's a jab there. Yeah. She's thinking, not feeling. Okay, I see what you do.
girl power. No, she's trying to encourage. Yes, I know I did it again. Okay.
No.
Stop crying, husband. There is a man who has the spirit of the holy gods in him. So she knows.
Holy gods.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. In the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him. So, I mean, Daniel was well known. He'd already done things with Nebuchadnezzar. You know, he had interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Even when they were first brought to Babylon and they tried to force them to eat the food that was sacrificed to idols, and he's like, we're not going to eat that. Just give us vegetables and like water. And they looked healthier than the people who were eating the king's meat, like that had been offered to idols and stuff, because it's a whole Jewish law thing. And God blessed them for that. You know, Daniel was close friends with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they had already gone through the furnace of fire at this point. So they are well known. So it is interesting. In whom is the spirit of the holy gods, and was, there was wisdom of the gods found in him. Remember him? Yeah, him.
I know him.
Yep. His name is Daniel. Let him be called, and he can interpret this thing for you. So then Daniel is brought in for the king, and the king says to Daniel, art thou Daniel? Well, the queen knew Daniel, but apparently the king did not. After all these things that he had done for his dad and the kingdom, somehow he doesn't know Daniel? What is this king doing?
He's not in the right mind, obviously. I mean, he lost everything. So.
I mean, he's
like Biden.
He's throwing a big party.
What am I doing?
What? Who? What?
Throwing a big party, getting all drunk and whatever else, and abusing God's holy items.
Mm-hmm. Are you Daniel?
Are you Daniel? He might still be in that fever dream.
Is that chocolate chip?
But yeah, so basically he promises them the same thing. If you can interpret this, then you will be, highly rewarded and whatever. So Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gifts be to thyself and give thy rewards to another. He said, I don't care about your gifts. You can keep them. Give it to someone else. Yet I will read the writing unto the king and make known to him the interpretation. Because that's what was important to Daniel. Because he knew where it had come from. Mm-hmm. O thou king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he slew, and whom he kept alive, and whom he would set up, and whom he would put down. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men. His heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointeth over it whomsoever he will. And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all of this. It's like, remember how your dad was king and, Babylon, this is a great, mighty nation, and your dad did basically whatever he wanted. But then God took it all away from him because he was not honoring him. And he became like a beast until your dad recognized that God is God and in charge of it all. Do you remember this? Is this ringing any bells to you?
Like, yeah, man, your papa was a Rolling Stone.
They both had liquids involved.
So you knew this, you should be remembering this, but thou hast lifted thyself up against the Lord of heaven, and you have brought the vessels of his house before thee. You're using his gold, his silver, his cups, things that were blessed and only used in the temple because they were for him and for his priests to use. But you are using it, and while using it, you're worshiping the gods of gold and silver and brass and not him. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this is the writing. And I am not Hebrew, so forgive this. Mene, tekel, upharsin.
That's easy for you to say.
This is the interpretation. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians.
Doesn't sound very good.
You didn't remember what happened with your dad. You took something that was holy, that was God's, and worshipped other gods with it, and for your own pleasure, your kingdom's going away. That is the writing on the wall.
It gone.
Which kind of comes back to how you guys were, when I asked before, what does writing on the wall mean to you? And this is what it is. This is what's happening. Whether you saw it or not, that's what it is. There it is for everyone to see now.
It is what it is.
Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made the proclamation that he should be third ruler in the kingdom. So he still tried to give him the reward. They did give him the reward. But then in the very next verse, in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. That same night, what was written on the wall came true.
Jeepers.
God takes that stuff very seriously. God, that's one of those things. God is so holy, so pure, so perfect. There's another story, and it still makes me almost question God in a way, where the Ark of the Covenant, that was God's seat in the temple, and it had been stolen. And they went and got it back. And as they were carrying it back, one of the people stumbled. And so someone reached out to catch it, but they touched the ark and not the poles that were carrying it. And he died instantly. And it's like, but he was trying to do a good thing. He was trying to not let it fall. But that's just how pure, how holy, how perfect that God is. And he said, don't touch it.
He's not going to break the rules for anybody.
That's right. He doesn't break the rules for anybody.
Not even bend.
No, doesn't bend, doesn't break.
Yeah. And that's, I taught the children a lesson last year, and I had them color on a piece of paper. I was like, you color that with just a pencil, as dark or as light as you want, as little as much. I had a piece of paper, and I put one tiny little mark on it. I was like, all right, you guys all done coloring? All right, let's see. Take a look. Oh, some people colored really, really dark, some of the boys, and some of them made real pretty, whatever. And I was like, okay, so you want to see mine? Look at my drawing. Oh, I had to like walk it over them and show them because I made it really small. I was like, okay, so whose paper is completely white? Oh, yours it. No, not. I had this, remember? I made my mark. That's God. God is the paper. He is the white, the perfect, the clean. And sin is all of the marks. So it doesn't matter.
Regardless how big the mark is.
It doesn't matter how big the mark is. Yep. That paper is no longer perfectly clean. So that means every single one of us needs God. Mm-hmm. None of us compare. That's why it says that we all fall short of the glory of God. All have sinned.
Yeah, Romans 3:23.
It does not matter what you've done, whether it's one tiny little lie or you hit your brother one time or, you steal a pencil from school, all the way up to, child molesters and murderers and all this stuff who we think of as that's the really big stuff. To God, it's all the same. It's still sin. But on the flip side of that, the good news of that, how I continue my lesson is that God has grace for us. And it's like an eraser. And if we just ask him to, he'll take that eraser and blot out those marks. And I erased my little mark. And I went over to one of the other kids' papers and I started erasing his paper. And it was getting clean. And it's like, God can clean anything. And he wants to. So we have to recognize that we're not perfect. That we all have this mark against God. But God loved us so much that he sent a son who died on the cross, rose again, John 3:16, John 3:17, he sent a son not to condemn the world. He's not here saying, I'm God and holy and you can't be near me. You're all going to hell. No, that's not why he sent his son. He sent his son not to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Yep. He loves us. He's not trying to condemn us just to condemn us because he is big, bad, mean God. No, he's loving God, but he's also perfect God. And so we needed his son. We need his son.
I always try to put it in terms of like a courtroom. If God were the judge, I mean, he is the great judge, right? Mm-hmm. Then the devil would be the prosecutor because he's going to try to point out everything you've done wrong, and he's real good at it.
Oh yeah,
he's the best prosecutor that there ever was. But then if we've got Jesus Christ in our heart, then we've got the best defense lawyer you could ever have. Because when the devil tries to point out evidence, Jesus can go, "What evidence?
What? Where'd it go? Huh?"
And everybody be looking around for it because they don't see it. It's gone.
Covered it in the blood.
Just like when he healed the man's ear after it was sliced off. I can't remember who sliced his ear off. The guard. I can't remember. There was a Roman guard. His ear was sliced off.
Peter.
Yeah. And so but then
Peter.
yeah, he's like the rest of us, right? Because we're all. I think every modern day Christian that really truly believes is all like Peter. We get a little overzealous. We get a little dive a little too deep sometimes, and we think that we have to take action on X, Y, and Z when God's got it. But also, when we make those mistakes and we say we're sorry, he'll make it as though it never happened, and that replacing that ear and putting it back where it was, and as though it never happened. It's that same perfect picture of that. Him being a defense lawyer and saying, "What evidence? I don't see any. Do you?"
Yeah. Yep. So we just have to be mindful. We need to look. Is the writing on the wall for us? Is there something that we're doing that is dishonoring God? That's dishonoring his people, his belongings in a sense, What are we doing? And can we do better? And who should we think of if we happen to see writing on the wall? Who are we asking what it means? Are we asking everybody else? Are we looking for that astrologer? And, because that's a big thing. It's still a big thing now. What's your sign?
Yeah. I used to be into that, like reading the horoscope thing, you know, talk about I'm a this and I'm a that, you know, wherever your birthday lands, and it's all written in the stars.
No, it's not written in the stars. It's written on the wall.
No, it's written in the book.
That's right. For us, we have this, and man, what a gift!
Yeah,
what a gift that we have this, all of it. You know,
66 books of the truth.
That's right. Daniel had, you know, Moses, the law. He had stuff from David, you know, so some of the Psalms and like Proverbs, because Solomon. I mean, he didn't even have his own stories yet until he lived them. And he definitely didn't have the New Testament where Jesus is.
I mean, I would say that you could argue that took more faith to live during his time than now, because he didn't have all we have all these tools at our disposal now, and the signs and wonders weren't exactly, you know, they're kind of drying up at that point in the was it OT, the Old Testament as we call it. It's kind of, you know, it's not as prevalent as it was earlier in the books, and so it would have been really difficult to believe, to have faith. So I can't imagine not having Jesus as a defense lawyer at that time, and not knowing that you could even try to do that.
Yeah. So it's awesome to have this for sure. Yeah. Are you looking towards the horoscopes, the astrology, the soothsayers, whatever, other religions, good works? None of that's really going to help. You know, find you a Daniel, someone who's known. He was known for having the spirit of the holy gods in him, for having wisdom and understanding. Find you a Daniel who can help you figure out what that writing on the wall means. Now, hopefully it doesn't mean you're going to die right away. That's what happened here. Hopefully that's not what it means for you.
Well, I'll give you a chance.
He had a chance. He told him, you know, and I bet you, because there's other stories where God does not punish. You know, the book of Jonah, the whole city of Nineveh, he was going to destroy it, like wipe it out like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah. But Nineveh repented, and so he didn't. So if Belshazzar had thought to repent, there's a chance that he might not have been killed that night. Or, on the other side, can you be a Daniel to someone? If you do know God, if you are reading his word and living the right way, are you known for that? Are you known that you have the spirit of the holy God in you? That you have wisdom and understanding in you? Can you help somebody understand when they're struggling with something? So many things that you can think about with this. So many things.
Those are all really, really good questions, and I like the being someone's Daniel, because I like to give advice, as Sterling knows. Him and I have had a lot of discussions. I try to be as helpful as possible, but I'm always honest when I don't know the answer. Like, I really don't know what to do there. So we have to just lean back on more scripture and try to find out what that answer is. But furthermore, he's also been able to do that coming back for me as well over time, and give me good advice. And so, and we always go back to scripture and what does that say, and how do we work through that. And the tough men of faith, I think they say it best. They call them battle buddies, Some folks call it accountability partner, but you have your friends or your family or whoever that is for you that will stick by your side and help you get back into the Word and figure out what the answer is for what you're either going through or what you need to understand better.
Yeah.
And I've said it like every time we've done a reaction video for Revolver Reacts here recently. And I think I said it last week too, but our past couple weeks on here, but God is cultivating us into something better.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't just get a harvest without the work, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're not a Daniel, I'd say then you should strive to be one.
Yeah.
You really should. And if for no one else, then for God. If for no one else, maybe you just feel like you're too timid. But I'm telling you right now, once you start really, really giving yourself over to the Lord, He'll put you to work. Mm-hmm. He'll use you. You'll become an instrument of His to give someone else the word and be able to lift them up when they're just questioning everything. I had a friend here recently that's said this is just impossible. This is just impossible. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds, but this friend says this is just impossible, Josh. There's no way that I can make it through this. As a matter of fact, I want to take myself out because I cannot. There's no way. Mm-hmm. I can't handle this. I said, well, what do you mean you can't handle it? It's just too much. It's just too much. Say that again. It's too much. Is it really? What does the scripture say? I can do all things, right?
Nothing is impossible with God.
Yeah. So if nothing is impossible with God, then too much, unless you're talking about food or drink, then it's probably not the case, right?
Well, maybe too much for you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not about you. Somebody else much bigger can carry it.
Yep.
You just got to give it to them.
Yeah, it makes me think of 1 Corinthians 10:13. There has no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it.
Yep. Well, and
you just got to find it.
Exactly. And I added this. I said you did the right thing. You talked to someone about it. You talk to someone about what you're going through, and Sterling and I have had these conversations of like, okay, where do we go from here? This thing does look impossible. Well, today's hardship is tomorrow's lesson, and we're all going through our thing because life is just it's difficult. Mm-hmm. No matter if you're in a valley or on a mountain, you're probably in a place that's like, oh man, that just seems insurmountable. But I guarantee you, no matter how good or difficult your life is right now, it's for a reason. And you'll be able to look back on what seemed impossible because God made you stronger. He makes you stronger because Christ is in your heart. God can make you stronger than you ever thought possible. Because you are once Jesus is in your heart.
Philippians 4:13.
That's right. And not only that, but he gives you, you commented on one of our other videos I was talking about, like he gives you the power to call out spirits in his name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He gives you that power. So if you have that kind of power in you because of Jesus Christ, mm-hmm. then what in this world could possibly stand in your way?
That's right. If God is for us, who can stand against us?
Mm-hmm. It looks like a mountain now, but I'm guaranteeing you right now
it's just a molehill.
It's just a molehill because he's got something else that's going to go, check this out.
Hey, y'all, watch this.
You're just moving on to the next lesson. Yeah. And then you're going to take what you've learned, and then somebody else is going through it, and you're going to go, hey, actually, I just went through that. Or I years ago, I went through that, and here, let me give you some pointers. Here's some things you can do to maybe try, yeah. And maybe a situation is completely different, or it still seems difficult, even with the advice that you give the person. But just tell them to hold on because God is
Just haven't seen it yet.
That's right. It's just like Danny Goki's song, right?
He's the God of just in time. He's
Yeah.
not. He's only going to. It's his time, not our time.
Yep.
And I like the idea of second chances too, because
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
yes,
Infinity is that a word?
because I know I consistently mess up. No matter how hard I've thought about giving up on things, and so I'm gonna give this up. I'm gonna give this up. I'm gonna give this up. And I also said this before, but I feel like you got to repeat it because I think it's very important to say. And when we're sinning, when we're doing wrong, it's like imagine a set of keys in your hand, but your hand is a toddler's hand. You ever tried to take a set of keys out of a toddler's hand?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It's not easy, is it?
No, they cry so bad.
Only if you got like candy over here. I'll give you this candy. You give me those keys.
But if they say no, mine.
As soon as you get pry one finger off of this part of it, then they wrap their finger around another part of it.
Yep. And that's I feel like that's a perfect picture of us with sin. Every time we feel like we've made that one little step, because we have. It's not that he's going to take it away from us, because we go to God, we're gripping onto it, we're gripping onto that sin, we're going, take it away from me, take it away from me. We keep praying to him, take it away from me, take it away from me. He's like, if you just
set it down.
Open your hand and give it over to me, I will. But I can't do that until you do.
Just let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, my mind was there too. You did it first.
Yay me! Rich
Crystal would be proud.
He's a musical encyclopedia, I tell you.
I try.
Yeah, that's true. That's hard sometimes. That's just another reason to have people come up along beside you, find your Daniels or whatever who give you that advice, that wisdom. And I'm like, all right, let's go.
Have you had
keep it in check?
Yeah, have you ever outside of us, obviously going back and forth, Sterling? Have you had any experiences with getting to be a Daniel or maybe receiving end of a Daniel in your life?
Yeah, I'm receiving for sure. Being a Daniel, I mean, people would probably say that, but I would never say that in retrospect. I don't know. In self-reflection, I wouldn't say that I've been a good enough Daniel, if ever. But some people that have been a good Daniel to me, probably Chad Benninger. If he ever watches this show, he kept me from doing some pretty stupid stuff. And not only did he stop doing that, Matt Roller.
Yeah,
Matt Roller was those were some great guys.
I know Chad.
Chad Benninger?
Yeah.
Monster of a man.
Yes.
Talking about moving mountains.
Would you describe him as a Coke machine with legs?
Two Coke machines.
Yes.
Chad. Maybe a pickup truck. Yep. For legs. Yeah, it's a monster.
Chad does the Friday night their
workout things.
Yep. The workout thing at the church.
And he's a big, intimidating guy, but he's got the sweetest heart.
He's like a big old teddy bear, right?
He's a huge teddy bear you can just fall into and disappear. I mean, he wouldn't find her the folds of muscle. It's
one of the nicest
he would call
guys.
it love too. Yeah, no, he was there. I was heading out to do some bad deed to a certain individual who did another bad thing, but that's not right to do. You can't. Two wrongs don't make a right, and sin for sin doesn't help anyone. So he was kind enough to pick up the phone at a very odd hour. And what's going on? This is what's going on. You need to stop. Stop, pull over on the road. I'll come find you. Wherever you at. Where you at? I'll come to you. I mean, he lived in where I lived. I mean, that's saying a lot, So he was definitely a Daniel. And then Matt Roller was a youth pastor for a long time before he became the pastor where he's at now. And he dedicated a lot of time to kids and stuff. But I think that's why I have such a slight passion for helping kids and things like that, is because I saw him do it in a way that not everybody did. Like, he wasn't like, he was down to earth and kind and understood and listened and went out of his way to do things. And he was there as well. So it was like, Chad stopped me. At this point, I didn't give up. I kept going. And then Matt was there at the end, like, all right, I'm gonna put my hands up. I know what you want to do. I was like, but let me talk to you about Jesus real quick. So I was like, okay, let's talk about Jesus. Talked about Jesus, and it ended up doing like a whole 180 with the thing. Ended up being able to be a blessing to the individual that it happened to, not the other individual, but the other individual that was very confused about what happened and thought he was going to be murdered and beat up, and for all the choices that he made and everything. And I turned around and showed him love, which at the start of that had no thought of ever doing that. But at the end of the road, it was like a Jesus moment. Like, just come here. We all make mistakes, and let me give you a hug kind of thing. So yeah.
Both of them have a heart for serving. Both.
They really do.
They just.
So probably two of my Daniels.
Yeah, I think
none of them are named Daniel though.
Yeah.
Well, my middle name's Daniel, if it helps.
So there you go. Josh is my other Daniel. Josh has been there for me.
Hi, this is my Daniel. This is my other Daniel. And this is my other Daniel.
Daniel 1, Daniel 2, Daniel 3.
You have to be willing. Daniel in the story could have said no, that he didn't want to go to this party and help this king. Look at what he's doing. He could have been the judgmental, holier than thou.
Looking at
how
it.
dare you?
We know plenty of those out there.
Oh, you gonna get it?
No, he was willing to go and give the message
and not seek a reward.
And that's right. He's like, I don't even want that reward. Keep it. Give it to someone else. And you specifically have done that. You are willing to be there. Sometimes it might be dragging your feet a little bit, but you're there. And sometimes you really do want to be there. And you are the one pursuing that. So give yourself a little bit of credit.
Yay, Sterling.
It is okay.
Glory be to God.
Yeah. You can say, I did good because God.
I do good because God, yeah.
That's okay. You can be proud of that. And sometimes, I talked about, having the wisdom, the understanding, obviously as best as you can, reading this, praying, that's how you're going to gain all that. But sometimes you still just don't know what to say, though. I have a friend right now who's not in a good place, physically, or mentally, emotionally. And she calls me, and I'm glad that it seems like I'm having Daniel moments with her, because every time she calls me, there was one time specifically she said, I have to call Sarah. I'm feeling really down, and if I call anyone else, I'm just going to keep feeling down because they're just going to add to my downness. Mm-hmm. But if I call Sarah, she's going to make me feel better. So she called me. I made her laugh a couple times. And she's like, yep, I'm glad I called you. But then just yesterday or the day before she called me, I was like, I don't know what to do. And so she's just talking or whatever. And she's like, I don't know if I should take this path or this path. And I'm like, well, do you want to stick to what you believe is true? Or do you want to bend the truth a little bit? And she's like, ooh, hearing you say it like that, I don't like that. But sometimes you just have to be willing to be there and listen. And then I took what she said and I was like, all right, this is what I'm hearing you say, is that your choices are stick to what you believe is true or bend the truth. Those are the options that you have presented to me. You need that sounding board sometimes. I know I've needed that with people. So I'm happy that I am having the opportunity, the chances to be that for her.
And have you had that where you've been on the inverse, where you've had someone?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
I let's talk this out. I have to speak it. Because in my head, it's just going all over the place.
Yes.
Anyways.
No.
All right, you guys.
Take it away.
I don't want any more.
I almost said it again.
It's a work in progress. We love you.
Anyways.
We no longer love you.
See, y'all missed the beginning.
Shoot.
The pre-show.
But no, Julie Ward was huge in my life as a young person, like teenager, even younger, even child, teenager, and still now. Hugely. I would go to her all the time, and she would be that sounding board. Or Mrs. Donna Salter. I would write something. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. But then when I would reread it, I'm like, wait a second, does that actually make sense? So, Mrs. Salter, what do you think about this? She's like, oh my gosh, Sarah, that's amazing. How did you think of that? And it just reassured me, you know. Or sometimes it'd be, well, are you sure about this aspect of it? Maybe you mean this. Or what if you thought of it this way? You know, all the time. People at work do it for me. People at church still. Like, I'm still trying to learn and grow. So definitely I've had many Daniel-esque people.
I feel like that's the whole point, right? The verse that you read, there's always that way out. Like he gives you a Daniel.
Right? Well, yeah, the temptation, always a way to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always room for improvement. I mean, no matter how far you may think you are in your walk, you can always learn something new and gain more spiritual growth. There's just always room for improvement. Because, like you said, that one mark is all it takes to mess up that piece of paper, right? So we've got a long ways to go before we can fix that.
Yeah.
What about you, Rich? Any moments where you got to be a Daniel or had a Daniel?
I don't think I've been a Daniel.
You got an opportunity next week.
Be looking for it, guys.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. But I think when we had moved down to Virginia, we were looking for a church. And we went to so many different churches. And, you want to find that one perfect church. And, like, we had gone one, like, 15 miles away, another one, 2 towns down, and we're like, okay. And then we're like, dude, we're just not there. And literally a minute from the house where we lived, we decided to go to this one church. And the pastor, I will never forget him for the rest of, the first time we met, we introduced us that night. He called us and said, do you mind me coming by to visit and all that? And I was like, the same day?
Right.
When was the last time ever a pastor's come that same day? And, he did what stuck with me with him, Pastor Don Paxton, thank you very much. We should not sit, soak, and sour for God, right? A lot of people, they get just so... right? I'm going to sit. I'm just going to be mad and all that. And it's like, that's not how we were taught. That's not how we should be. And it was just that really, for some reason, stuck with both Crystal and I. It was like, we say it all the time, Why you sit soaking and souring about that?
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's done. Let's see what we can do to move on. And it just, for some reason, that always stuck. And there were a couple of times, he asked me to kind of, help him, with his, sermon. It was kind of funny. He would always call me the Yankee, right? And, moving down south, right? And he did this one time. He'd always meet with the kids, right? Have a little 10, 15-minute time. And he goes, all right, kids, I like everybody. There's this one group of people I don't like, Yankees. Those Yankees come down, and all of a sudden he looks and goes, "You see that guy right there? He's a Yankee." And I went, and I was like, "But God teaches, and we need to love people and all that, and we're going to, I'm gonna, love him, right? He's going to be my brother in Christ, and he's going to be my friend." Well, this little girl behind me taps me on the shoulder, and she goes, "You're not a Yankee, are you?" I said, "Honey, yes, I am, but that's okay. God loves me just as much as he loves you and all that." But no, we had gone down there to visit this past time, and unfortunately we missed him and all that. But maybe it was a church. They just took us in, and we helped with the Wanas. We helped with all this other stuff at the church. And it was nice because we literally were a minute, maybe even like 45 seconds right down the road. So that's, let's say that church was my Daniel. It really, kind of, started my path. So
Church is so important. Community is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's quite interesting. A lot of times when Sterling, Alan, and I are here and we're putting stuff together, we're trying to get ready to film, and we get into little side conversations and things like that, and it's that little tight group has become even tighter because we're all bouncing things off of each other and sharing, and like, well, hey, we could work on that, and we could fix that with this, or it's very cool to have that, but then we get to share that with you and then join you in to that community with Revolver Broadcasting as a whole.
Subscribe, like, comment.
You can do all those things too. We would really appreciate it because we need you. But yeah, just join the family, because this is not a church in the traditional sense, but I mean, Alan has said many, many times that coming here and recording on Friday nights, we normally record on Friday nights, post on Saturdays, that this was church for him. And
church doesn't have to be a building.
It's the people, right?
It's the
hands
people,
and feet of Jesus. And this is the place where he was exposed to the word continually. And I informed him that I was like, dude, you're gonna find Christ. You're gonna accept Christ. And my dad goes, if you don't want to accept Jesus, you shouldn't be hanging around so many Jesus freaks all the time, because you're just going to end up joining the team. I mean, if you hang around that crowd, eventually you're going to become of that crowd. And
yeah, it can work in the good way too, not just the bad way.
Yeah. And
the fruits come out.
Well, Jesus, you can be a Jesus freak.
Night
or day, yeah.
Oh yeah, doesn't matter. 24/7, 365, and sometimes 366.
Yeah, and A-E-I-O-U, and sometimes Y.
Welcome to Revolver.
Naming combinations here.
M-O-U-S-E.
Yeah. But no, it's fantastic to watch this community grow, and more and more we have people commenting and sharing and just emailing too, because they've been telling us their stories, and that reminds me as well. Like, if you happen to be on our website, revolverbroadcasting.com, if you go scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a place where you can actually fill out your information and you can send us an email directly. It gives you a little place to put in what you want to say, and we'll correspond with you. As a matter of fact, I get the first email and then we kind of work from there. But we want to hear from you. We want to know what's going on with you. I mean, hopefully one of us can be your Daniel and help you through something. Or maybe you got a suggestion for us, and maybe you can be Daniel for one of us. You never know. So make sure and reach out and send us an email. What are we looking like on time there?
60 minutes. Perfect.
Hey.
It's almost like I've done this before.
Once or twice or 100 and some odd.
2, 3.
What is it? You multiply by 9?
I think so. But you divide by 9, apparently.
So that's going to roll us right into our segment. We've done this a few times now. We call it Clueless Kamala.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
Clueless
You know?
Kamala.
Clueless Kamala.
She's a witch. She's a witch.
She's so silly.
How do you know she's a witch? She
Well,
floats.
if she survives burning at the stake. No. That's mean. I'm not going to do that. I won't do that.
Too far.
Reel it back.
Anyway.
Douse it with some water.
Right? Yeah.
I know. I heard him say anyway. He said no. I'm just letting it go at this point. My brain is too fried. I can't deal anymore today.
like an egg.
Sit soaking sour.
So something that happened was the BBC, believe it or not, the BBC, a very left-leaning source. That is the British Broadcasting Company or channel, one or the other. Anyway, it's government propaganda for the UK. And even they decided that 6 Kamala Harris claims fact-checked. So the BBC fact-checked Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has been holding rallies across the U.S. as she campaigns against Donald Trump and will appear in Milwaukee on Tuesday ahead of her headline speech at the Democratic National Convention. Now, this is obviously a backdated article because the DNC has now happened. She has made a series of claims contrasting their records on the economy, healthcare, abortion, and immigration. BBC Verify has been examining them. Is Trump planning to cut Social Security and Medicare? Well, the claim is Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. Verdict by the BBC. This is misleading. In this campaign, Trump has said repeatedly he would not do this, although he has suggested he would in the past. Social Security provides a source of income when you retire or if you cannot work due to disability. Medicare is a U.S. government program which provides health care coverage for millions of Americans who are retired or disabled. Trump said, I will not cut 1 cent from Social Security or Medicare. He did that in a rally on August 5th, actually. So, booyah. No. And in his 20-point policy platform, which you can find on Donald Trump's website, he pledges that is fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. However, his time as president proposed several budgets which would have cut elements of Medicare, such as eliminating the program advising recipients how to sign up for benefits. None of these budget proposals were enacted, though. He also has made comments about cutting Social Security in the past, but obviously changed his mind now. I think he had several advisors come to him and say, that's not a good idea. People really, really need those programs. In an interview in March this year on entitlement programs such as Social Security, Trump said, there's a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting. However, he later clarified the comments saying, I will never do anything that will hurt or jeopardize Social Security or Medicare. So, hey, first one down right there. I won't do Trump voice on all these, but the second one was, is inflation down? Well, inflation is down under 3%. Verdict. That figure is correct, but some context is needed here. Because inflation, which is the increase in price of something over time, is down from a peak of 9.1% under the Biden administration, which we're still currently supposedly under, and it is higher than when Trump left office. When President Biden took office in January 2021, inflation was 1.4%, but it rose significantly during those first 2 years of his administration. This trend is comparable with many Western countries, which saw high inflation in 2021 and 2022 as global supply chain issues came as a consequence of COVID. And the war in Ukraine contributed to prices, but that's the excuse. Obviously, it was just poor policy.
Well, and when everyone says, and I hear it all the time, well, it's come down. Okay, come down from what? What does it come down from? And why did it come down? And where was it before?
It was all the way up to 9.1.
For what it should be, what it was, and what it needs to be. Not, and I was just like, well, yes, it's come down because it went up. It's got to come down if it goes up, right? And back on so we always bring receipts, right?
Yeah.
I have a receipt.
Oh, we got a physical receipt.
Physical receipt. So
make sure you describe it for the audio listeners.
So we went. This is a receipt from our local grocery store. We went to the grocery store last night because we need to get some stuff. Right? Okay. Not a lot we needed. We needed some water, some dish soap. We needed some napkins. We might have gotten some candy.
Maybe in there.
Maybe. We did get some, some mini cans of soda and then some few bags of chips, right? So 14 items. That's not a lot, right?
It shouldn't be.
$64.52 later, we walk out.
Oof.
Now, this is also after a $4.60 coupon.
Air quotes.
Because we got we had the little card from the thing. 14 items, $65. There was a cart ahead of us. She had her cart full. $305.
Yowzer.
But, the economy's good.
It's down.
I mean, so the bag of candy, right? So it's what season's coming up? Halloween, right?
Yeah.
It's the little Halloween ones. I'm sorry, kids, but I can't give out candy this year. It's
nobody.
too expensive.
We'll give out Trump impressions instead.
I'm sorry, folks, but the economy is not better than what it was. What can be unburdened from what should be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 60. I was like, I'm bringing this. I'm bringing the receipt. Sorry, that was my rant.
It's welcome.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
14 items. Sorry.
Next claim is how many jobs has the Biden administration created? The claim by Kamala was, we have created 16 million new jobs. No. So the verdict says that is roughly correct. 15.8 million jobs have been added under the Biden administration, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, when the Biden government entered the White House in January 2021, the U.S. was recovering from the COVID pandemic.
And wonder what happened during the COVID pandemic. I think we lost some jobs.
Yeah, lost a lot of them. It crippled the economy during which more than 20 million jobs were lost. So we're still not even where we were remotely. We're about, 4 million jobs away?
So this is where it was. This is where it went to. So we're
bounce back jobs. I think that's what they call them.
Yeah.
It's not even close to being a super V like we had under Trump.
No.
This is many of the jobs would have come back if Trump had won in 2020, but the American Rescue Plan played a major role in the speed and aggressiveness of the labor market recovery, said Professor Mark Strain, an economist at Georgetown University. The next point, did Trump drive the U.S. economy into the ground? The claim from Kamala is he froze in the face of the COVID crisis. He drove our economy into the ground. Yeah, it's about how she sounds. She's like, so she does. But the verdict, what did the BBC say about that? Well, the U.S. economy did take a big hit during the pandemic, like most countries.
I'll say what country didn't.
Yeah.
But I like this part. It also bounced back under Trump. They call it a super V. And we're going to share this reference as we do all our references in the description below. So make sure you go and look at all these charts, because there are charts. There are more than enough receipts from the BBC to show you exactly why they said what they said.
And the funny thing is the charts are from the U.S. Department. So it's not like they're making this stuff up, folks.
Yeah.
You can find it yourselves.
And you can see in that graph where there was a dramatic collapse in the economic growth in the U.S. during the COVID pandemic. However, following the pandemic, the U.S. economy bounced back under Trump. He implemented a series of measures to help it recover, including financial assistance for small businesses. He also gave us what do folks call it? Stimmy. We got to get our stimmies. Yeah. Stimulus checks. That made him very popular. The next claim says, did Trump tank the immigration deal? I think he was. So she says, we had a chance to pass the toughest bipartisan border security bill in decades, but Donald Trump tanked the deal. Just before I go into their verdict. Tanked what deal? He wanted to build the wall. The big, beautiful wall.
What deal did they need to build when they were already doing it? He's already building the wall.
She's the border czar. Was
kinda.
until they erased it from the internet. Don't let them fool you. She was appointed border czar. She's been there once, I think, maybe twice. But she's not been to Europe either, according to her interview with Lester Holt.
Well, yeah. Have you been to the border? Well, I haven't been to Europe either. So what's the matter?
And then she says, I don't understand the question. I'm like, well, the question is, have you been to the border? It's yes or no. It's pretty simple. I wonder how she did that.
I have. I've been to the border as many times as Kamala.
You can't ask her yes or no questions. You have to ask her talking circle questions.
Word salad.
Yeah.
Well, here's the verdict. Trump was publicly against the Biden administration's immigration bill, but voting on it was up to Congress. The immigration bill aimed to tighten asylum standards, increasing spending on border patrol, and allow for the automatic closure of the southern border to illegal crossings if a certain daily threshold was reached. It failed to pass a vote in February, with the majority of lawmakers in the U.S. Senate opposing it. Trump did not have a vote, as he was not an elected official at the time, but he did call for his Republican allies to oppose it. Trump also took credit for when the bill failed, saying it was horrendous, as he thought it was not tough enough on immigration, which it was not. Also, there was these little things called earmarks, which was, I think it was around somewhere between 70 and 80% of the bill had nothing to do with immigration. There was more money for Ukraine. Let's put it in the terms that most of you can understand out there. So if I were to say, I'm going to bring you a box of cookies, but
Chocolate.
when I hand you the box, it's mostly filled with crab cakes.
Still a win-win.
There's a few cookies in there.
Not for me.
I like crab cakes.
Did you get what you were asking for?
No.
Oh,
No.
no.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. you got a few cookies, right?
You got cookies.
But you got a whole load of crab cakes, and if you're like my wife Laura, who hates seafood, you'll be very irritated. That'll be the word I'll use for it. That you were handed.
Crab cakes are gonna make the cookies taste funky.
Yeah.
Could be good. You never know.
Thank you. That was the statement that I was waiting for someone to say, because that's what earmarks do when they're
taste
added
funny?
to a bill. They ruin.
They make them funky.
They ruin the proposal in the onset of the bill.
They smell fishy. That's what they do.
They are fishy, and it's true. Now, did Trump ban abortions? That's the next question they have here. The claim by Kamala Harris, in more than 20 states, there is a Trump abortion ban, many with no exceptions, even for rape or incest. Be sure if he were to win, he would sign a national abortion ban. The verdict. Now, if anyone has paid attention at all, you'll know this. bans were enacted by states after Trump left office, but as president, he appointed 3 justices to the Supreme Court who voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Trump has said he would not sign a national abortion ban, which he has said that many, many times. I can verify it. He said it at every rally this year. He actually has a stance on abortion that I don't agree with. I really like the guy, and he's definitely my candidate. But he has a stance that I just don't have on abortion. I think it should be outright gotten rid of. But that's my personal stance. But he's the closest person to my values, so I've got to vote what I can get close to, right? But Roe v. Wade protected the federal constitutional constitutional right to abortion. Now that's not a constitutional right. So for nearly 50 years until it was overturned in June 2022. Now that is a false statement by the BBC right there, because it was not a constitutional right. That's why the Supreme Court actually overturned it, because it wasn't constitutional. And they turned it back over to the states, so the states can then decide what they would do with abortion. And passing it back down to the states should have been something that everyone celebrated, because each state could then go through and make up its mind based on its people. With
smaller government? What?
Right.
Mind blown.
So giving the power back to, I don't know, the people?
Of the people,
we the people,
by the people,
somebody,
for the people,
somebody else.
So
we have to take responsibility for our own decisions.
Wait, what? I have to be an adult?
Just stop. Just stop.
Wait, huh?
There's consequences?
No.
Yes.
What does that word mean?
Just no. Anyway.
It's called accountability.
What's that word?
It's got 2 C's in it. That's all I know.
You know more than I do.
They definitely didn't use the word accountability at the DNC.
Well, they used the word joy a lot, didn't they?
They did use joy and freedom, and they waved American flags, which is like, I thought the left hated American flags. They've been burning them in the streets and tearing them down, and all of a sudden they want to wave them and say that they're patriotic. And I even heard a few people in their speeches say that they were patriots, and that Democrats were patriots. And I'm like, but you vilified, maybe not you directly, but a lot of the left vilified people online. I mean, just dragged them through the mud for saying that they were patriots. Yep. Like it was a negative connotation that you could have to say you were a patriot for this country, that you had any kind of nationalism at all. Oh,
you got kicked out of school for it.
Yeah,
it's called double speak.
Yeah, it's both sides of the mouth.
Two-faced, you mean?
It's almost like they had a beak from Ninja Turtles. You ever seen those the toys where they had the beak down in the middle, and then there's both sides of the mouth seem to open up, and
yeah, it's creepy.
that is a perfect depiction of how Democrats speak. They're over here, talking on both sides of their mouth. Some Republicans do that too.
They're probably allergic to them crab cakes.
Funky crab cakes.
They keep trying to put them in my box of cookies, man. I just want cookies.
Just left them out in the sun.
So our second article at night is an opinion piece. So I just want to state that right up front. This is an opinion piece from the publication hotair.com. And it says, Kamala's speech burdened us by what she has been.
I read that when you sent it. I was like, oh, that's classic.
This is by Ed Morrissey. Did you have something there?
No, that's about right. That sounds about right.
It does sound about right. So last night, for us it was last night. For you, it's a different night. Anyway.
It's some other
Kamala Harris repeatedly asserted that she would chart a new course or chart a new way forward. For that, one would expect a chart or two.
Well, or a policy or two.
Yeah, there's no charts.
Well, it's funny. So I decided, because I am an independent, right? I'm not. And I was like, I'm going to go to harriswaltz.com and see. It's after the convention, right? There should be policies, right?
Yeah, should be.
Nope. So I decided.
So it's just like when on Crystal's episode when we showed the website.
Same thing. So
plenty of places to donate.
Well, I'm going to go, and there's a little section that says contact us.
Oh, that's new.
So I decided I'm going to fill it out. And what's the subject? policies. And I said, I have looked at this website several times and was wanting to understand your policies to decide, because as an independent voter, I want to understand, who I should vote for. I know your rival has 20 plus policies. Can you please provide us yours? Sincerely, blah, 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 blah. That was at 12 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah.
And still nothing.
Good luck with any of that correspondence being returned.
Nothing.
I guess you'll have to report back when we're here next week and see if they say anything at all. They probably just go, we'll be unburdened by what has been.
What has been done, undone, done, some done.
But Harris competently delivered a well-received but nearly substance-free acceptance speech at the Democratic National Convention. At 37 minutes, give or take, it ran long enough for the occasional, without tiring the audience in the hall or on television. And Mirabilio Dictu, that's I guess it's Latin, but it says, we never got the ubiquitous Harris incantation, we can be unburdened by what has been. I think someone told her, just stop saying that. Like, they're turning it into a meme.
It's not good.
So how long was her speech?
37 minutes.
How long was Trump's? Like an hour and a half?
Hour and 45 minutes at the RNC. Yeah. He regularly speaks for almost 2 hours, sometimes close to 3. I've seen plenty of speeches at Trump rallies.
Because he actually covers topics.
You mean like topics and policies, not...
It's weird.
He also goes off prompter too. He's very famous for going off prompter because it gets boring if you're just reading the same thing every single time over and over and over again. You just can't keep people engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I do training, sessions at my work, and of course, you have the slide decks and all that. But I hate it when people are just reading the slide decks and this blah blah. I'm like, I can do it myself. So.
As somebody who is the person reading the slides for training at work, I hate reading the slides at work. Yes. Because it is boring.
It's boring.
Okay, what can I do? How can I make this more concise? Or how can I make this more interesting?
Get him a box of cookies with crab cakes in it.
No, thank you.
It's a reference. That's all those are there for. And I put it up there and then spill on other stuff. But I hate,
I don't want to go too far off script, otherwise.
Yeah.
Well,
you never know what you're land.
Well, as you know, like when you and I worked at the license branch, there was a lot of repetitiveness there as well.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And so you had to figure out a fresh way to talk to the people in front of you because you gonna go crazy. Like, no wonder so many of those ladies that have been here for so many years were a little bit loopy because they just repeated themselves over and over again. I'm like, look, just say it differently. Instead of saying hi, say howdy. Instead of saying how can I help you, be like, what can I do to fulfill your needs today? Like, just anything to change it up a little bit. It's just, are you registered to vote? Would you like to register to vote? There's this election thing coming around. Would you like to just anything to change up your wording, make it interesting?
I'd
rather the old days. Just have a piece of paper there, your notes, and you read off the notes. This whole teleprompter thing is we have dummied down this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, society at large has been dumbed down. We were joking about, accountability. And what's that word mean?
Yeah.
We were joking.
Yeah,
Not everybody is.
Well, and not only that, but we're going to see it as satire, and a lot of our audience is going to see it as satire.
I don't understand satire. I don't know
Mr. Satire himself.
Comment on that.
Please.
No, he understands it. He just thinks there's a more clear way to express it.
But if you go back and it'll be on Revolver Broadcasting channel on YouTube here very soon. There's an episode of the Laughing Libertarian where Alan did a Man on the Street, and we have a lot more Man on the Street interactions planned coming up in the very near future. But he was just asking simple questions like, how many stripes are on the flag, the American flag? And people would just deer in headlights. 44.
Oh,
Oh,
He's got the flag in his hand. It's like
You can live there and
you
count
can
it.
you could just count 1, 2, yeah. I don't know. How many stars? 14.
well, it
You
was
were
close.
closer on the other number.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah, you were close to the first flag.
It's just really interesting or who's the president of the United States right now? He would ask that. And I was like,
Well, does anybody really know who's the president right now?
That's true.
I mean, who's running the country?
That is a fair.
I
That is fair. It is
come
fair.
on now. I mean, who's running this country right now?
I think it's somebody that says, "Oh, you don't want to get all wee-weed up." Yeah, he might be just running the puppet strings. But somebody who doesn't have puppet strings, and that brings us to our last story of the night. This is coming from revolverbroadcasting.com.
Wait.
media debut.
Woo.
Alan?
Hey,
Written media debut.
we are on the debut show of the Revolver Broadcasting
News story
news story.
Wow.
written by yours truly.
Da-da-da-da.
That's me.
Puppy. No, he's not a puppy.
Oh.
Sometimes.
See?
No, I can't identify that.
Okay,
one.
TMI.
Crystal, please.
Please come back.
She'll have no furries. We'll have no furries in this audience.
Oh.
We got a lot of crickets.
So the title of this article, I said, RFK Jr. endorses Donald Trump in historic press conference! ! So during a press conference in Arizona on Friday, RFK Jr. discussed his achievements in his campaign. Despite his success in various aspects, he faced a crucial decision that would benefit all Americans. He detailed the 5 main reasons that led him to make his decision. Initially, he realized that his uncle's Democratic Party was no longer united, prompting him to seek separation from them. Consequently, he decided to run as an independent candidate. Next, he criticized the lawfare which the Democrats had employed to try to remove his name and other candidates from the ballots in multiple states. Not just one, multiple states. It's bad enough that they had even attempted to do it in one, but multiple states. They also attempted to use it as means to falsely imprison President Trump. Things like, 32 felonies that were not any actual charges. Additionally, the improper use of the military-industrial complex and our involvement in the proxy conflict in Ukraine have contributed to a situation where Russia, in alliance with Iran and China, has become more assertive. That's the nicest way I could find to put that. Because, if they decide to just go ahead and go for it, we could end up in a nuclear conflict. Furthermore, he's worried about the quality of our food and its contents. The obesity crisis, as I well know, in this nation is deteriorating by the day. So it's a real problem, and it is. I believe a lot of that does have to do with what is in our food. I just, personally, I eat, rather well most times, and still can't, and I'm pretty active. Sterling and I and Alan, we'll go on walks and stuff. Neither here nor there, but the food is an issue, and there's a lot of stuff in it that shouldn't be in there. So I think that's a really
It's crab cakes.
crab cakes in
Those
the cookie
funky
box,
crab
right?
cakes.
It's actually the cookies, but
Yeah, a little bit of both. Finally, he aims to provide the children with a brighter future. Currently, they receive conflicting messages and are heavily prescribed medications. Our RFK Jr. has raised concerns about the pharmaceutical industry, emphasizing its reliance on patients for lifelong treatment, because they can make a whole lot of money off of you if you have to keep staying under treatment as opposed to just being cured. That's why they don't want you to find out about all the holistic things you can do to help you get to a better you, a healthier you.
a personal anecdote on that. My grandma, when she was still alive, and was on a lot of medications for, I think she's on 3 or 4 different medications for diabetes alone, and then some other stuff. Well, we eventually had to get her into a nursing home. And the nursing home that we put her in, they're like, nope, we're not going to have her on all that. And we're just going to feed her better, manage her diabetes with like diet and things like that. All of a sudden, instead of taking like 10 a day, she was down to like 2 a day.
And that's something. Just whenever you try to take the holistic approach to it, almost like in your story there where they refused to eat the king's sacrificed meat, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the
who knows what they're doing to your
the
food
other
before you get it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's
But
true.
she was having better food, things that was better for her, and got her healthy. So that is a very good picture right there, I think. But the final paragraph of this. Today, RFK Jr. chose to suspend his presidential campaign, acknowledging that he could better serve the American people as a member of Trump's cabinet. He has officially endorsed Donald Trump, aiming to prevent the Harris-Walz administration from winning on November 5th through this alliance. Man, what an alliance. I know that there's probably some breaking news right now as we record this because Trump said that he was going to make yet another announcement today, right now, while we're recording this. But I guess we'll just have to talk about it next week as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. But I really like RFK. I really think that he's a genuine person. I disagree with him on a number of things, but I know that he does have a heart for this nation. I know that he wants to help get people healthy, fight against the corruption within the government. He's very much like his uncle in that way, and I think it was just instilled in him. And I would love to see him in a place in Trump's cabinet and helping the American people in more ways than one. Does anybody else want to jump in on?
No, I mean, it's good. No, it's interesting to see people unite from different sides and actually come together. Like, this is the better of two evils kind of thing, but I mean, it's good. It's about time somebody did it.
Well, he put it like this, and I will say this is not a quote. This is not a direct quote. So, but to paraphrase some things he said, that the common ground was a much more with Trump than it was with Harrison Walz, mostly because Harrison Walz has zero policy, and he believes, just like Trump does, that Harrison Walz wants to destroy this country. What they've already, what the Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration has already done for this past 4 years, so that he believes that that's just going to get worse, which would be obvious, right? I mean, it's just 4 more years of the same thing. Whereas with Trump,
worse.
4 more years of the same nothing.
Yeah,
or worse.
Yeah, I mean.
Whereas with Trump, we have a track record to go back on and say, okay, when he didn't have a pandemic imposed on him, this country was doing really, really great, and he even bounced it back during that pandemic, actually. So, when you're thinking that those terms, it's not even lesser of two evils, but what's better for the country, what's better for the people.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And the whole,
right.
I mean, I know I didn't watch much of the DNC, but I know I've heard it's.
I unfortunately watched the whole thing.
Did you?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Did
you have to take a shower after every
single one? Yeah,
every single.
We read about that in Leviticus. Had to get cleanliness.
But
7 days, I think it is.
Well, she's gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, what have you been doing this past 3.5 years?
Yeah. How about do it now?
Yeah, I mean, well,
You're
when
there.
I become president, my first day, and I went,
that sounds like
it's
Trump.
August. Why can't you do it now?
Yeah, you have till January. You're vice president.
Why?
You're the
why do you
deciding
have
vote in
to
the
wait?
Senate.
That's what. Why do you have to wait? And I mean, I've actually asked somebody at work, and they were like, "Yeah, well," I says, "Why is she waiting? Why can't she do that now?"
Yeah, she's in power. She's vice president.
And crickets.
Yeah,
is what I heard.
Our audience was there. Huh?
Our audience.
So,
It was crickets you heard?
It was crickets I heard.
Crickets you heard. Sounds something like this?
Yes, that's exactly what I heard. It's like it's and obviously it's just a political thing. It's just to get elected. Instead of doing something for the country now, I'm going to wait until I get in to say, look what I did.
Yeah.
Could be.
So sad. So sad.
It's tragic.
But to give a little more praise to RFK, just real quick, this guy's anti-corruption, and he talked a lot about the negative aspects of the vaccines. He talked a lot about people's health risks, how it's not a one-size-fits-all, that it didn't have any efficacy. He talked about that big pharma in particular. He rails against them, talks about the military-industrial complex, rails against them. He rails against just corruption in Washington, D.C. in general. And so have that guy now looking to be on Trump's team, it just makes for better for all of us. That's why I said that in the article. It makes it better for all of us. There's a decision that Americans should be able to rally behind, because whenever a country has so much corruption, you just follow the money. Mm-hmm. And actually had a former coworker of mine who believed one way for a very, very long time. And him and I had a few discussions. I said, come on, man, you're smarter than that. There's no way you believe that. He said, what do you mean? I said, follow the money. Just do me a favor. I said, just go take half an hour. We'll meet back up, 45 minutes if you want, and go follow the money. Go look where things are donated, where the money goes. And he actually texted me from another workspace and that he was in while he was on his computer. He said, I'm gonna have to get back to you tomorrow. This rabbit hole goes further than I thought. I knew it would. And so he comes back to me the next day and he goes, bro, he goes, all this money went here and all this money went here. And then this is an Act Blue. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, and I supported this. And I was like, And he goes, and I donated to that. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And he couldn't believe that all this stuff that he had been supporting before and had been railing against me in conversation, when I was just like, look, I'm just trying to tell you what I've seen. And when he actually went through and took the time, he still believes what he believes about, universal basic income, things like that, which is fine. You're allowed to have that. It's freedom in this country to believe that way. But now he's anti-corruption as well. It got him to be of a reasonable mind. And that's all we're asking at the end of the day. When you're talking with your neighbor, just be of a reasonable mind and do the research. Go follow the money. Find where the corruption. Be anti-corruption, because we don't have room for that in this country.
Get the receipts.
Because it costs us too much, literally. And we're not going to take it anymore. I think that's what D. Snyder said, right?
Yep.
And with that, I think
the silent majority.
Yeah. I think we can find a closing prayer, Sarah.
Sure.
Yeah, find it.
Find it. I'm going to find it right here.
Yeah.
We're on bow our heads and close our eyes. I'm going to find it.
Okay.
Lord, thanks again for this time together and for your word that you gave to us, that we have your whole word. And just thank you for the story and example of Daniel's life. And for the story of Belshazzar and the writing on the wall. Help us to be Daniel and not Belshazzar. Don't let us make a mockery of you. And if we are, let a Daniel come tell us and let us change our ways. And then help us to be Daniels to other people and warn them, hey, step back. Step back. That's God's. I pray for our country for that we can do that. Tell people, step back. That's not yours. That is God's. People are your creation. You made us for a purpose. We are here for a reason. You made us exactly the way that we are for a reason. There's nothing that needs to change in that sense. Help us to stand up for that. and just help this election as it comes up. Place somebody. We know that you're going to place who you want to place because you are the one ultimately in control. And we just ask that to be somebody that will lift this nation up. Thank you for allowing us to be here, living in this nation with the freedom we have right now. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. That's the woman, the girl power that brought the message.
Power.
Girl power.
Right.
Sarah Metcalf Allen. Look at that. Oh,
Who doesn't like the
we
funky
get
crap
applause for that. She did a good job on that message. That was really good.
kids? Very good, very good.
So great. Thank
Her
you so
rump,
much.
her rump, her rump.
Well done. Well done.
I say.
Cheerio.
Thank you again for bringing that message. It was really good, and thank you for just joining in the conversation and being part of it. It's always a joy to have you here. Next, what's that?
It's helping us see what's the writing on the wall.
Yeah, the writing on the wall. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's difficult to see, right?
It's so difficult.
Alan?
Alan?
He'll never watch.
One of these days.
Yeah, one of these days. We just have to drag him back in here, right?
Kicking and screaming.
Be his Daniel. Next to Sarah, we have the perfect producer.
Not true.
He's even married to Sarah. Sterling Metcalf Allen.
Hi, it's me. I'm confused by what just happened.
Wait, what?
It's fine. Thanks for having me, Josh.
You're confused by the fact that you're married to your wife?
Well, it's just how that whole line of
Yeah.
You
I
made
liked
it sound like such a good thing.
Is it
he's
not?
married to Sarah. Yes, I am.
Yes, he is.
There it is.
See? It's a great thing. I meant it as a compliment.
Anyways.
I meant it as a compliment.
Good deal.
Perception is not reality. That's the devil's lie.
Yeah. It's the writing on the wall.
Across from Sterling, we have this guy. He's got a guy. He's got a guy. And he is the guy.
He's got a gal.
Yeah.
I got a gal.
There we go.
Yeah, he knows the guy, but he
I
is
know
the
a
guy.
guy, but I got a gal. And they
Rich
pulled me- and I was
Rosati.
able to.
Stop being Kamala for a second.
Yep, I was able to get
It's going in a circle.
Oh, gosh.
pulled from the bullpen. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And he's gonna bring us a message next week, I hear. So
That's what it sounds like.
That's
yeah.
right. Be looking out for it.
That's what I heard.
like
I
Scar,
heard it. I heard it.
like Scar, you need to be prepared.
Did you hear what I...
Do you hear?
We can write it on your wall if we need to.
It's a big, beautiful wall.
It's huge. It's so huge.
Oh, my gosh.
And I've been your host, Joshua Cummins, reminding you to use your wall
Yeah.
and write on it what you will to glorify the Lord.
Yay.
Interesting.
Woo! But
Oh,
stay in trouble.
darn it.
And we'll see you next week.
Anyways,
No.
and for you kids out there, don't physically write on the wall.
Yeah, don't do that. We can paint over it.
This is metaphorically writing on the wall.
Non-toxic crayons are cookie.
Still waving. I guess we're all waving.
Bye.
Bye.